One.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Weekend GamePlan with Marcus Hersh. I'm Dan Illman, along with Daily Racing Form Hannah D. Capper and analyst Marcus Hersh. We've got three juicy stakes races to look at this week. We'll kick things off with the Raven Run Stakes at Keeneland. 11 three-year-old fillies getting set to go 7/8 of a mile. It's carded as race number 9. Marcus, you can go so many different ways in this race. Chad Brown has the 2 morning line favorites in the 1 Royal Charlotte, the 3 Indian Pride. Grade 1 winner Restless Rider is returning off of a lengthy layoff. You've got Horologist coming off an excellent third in the Cotillion behind 2 of the best 3-year-old fillies in the country. But you're going a different way. A very lightly raced Southern California Invader. Tell us a little bit about the number 8 First Star, 6-1 on the morning line.
Well, she's done a lot of things right, Dan, in her first 2 races. She cost only $15,000. The trainer, Ron Ellis, is shown as the buyer of this horse at the auction, a 2-year-old auction. It took her a long time to get started. He's not listed as the owner, but I mean, I think, she's first dude out of an English Channel mare that is hardly a fashionable pedigree. But just to look at her, she's really tall and leggy. She's got a really nice way of going. And first time out, at the 5/16 pole, I'm watching the replay. I'm like, there's no way this horse can win because the leader had such a big advantage. But she just kept up. She came under a ride pretty early, but she's green first time out, and she just kept going and going along the inside, and she came up the rail to win. And the favorite in that race, Blue Moonrise, ended up at Remington, won a main special weight race there by almost 15 lengths the other day. It might not have been a bad race. And then they stretched her out to a mile, and somehow after, stalking a pretty fast sprint pace, she ended up way back behind, a moderate 2-turn pace. That's pretty crazy. And then she looped the field, really kind of like bore down, I thought, the last furlong or so, and galloped out like 100 miles in front. I think there's a lot to this filly. I think that the experience she's gotten in just those 2 starts. Yeah, you mentioned she's lightly raced, but she's done a lot. She's come back with some pretty significant workouts. It looks like they're able to do a lot with her. There's enough substance to her. They can train her the way they want. 2 3/4 and 113 and change suggest as much. And I'm hoping that she's more than 6-1. I kind of think she could get lost in the shuffle here and end up closer to 10-1. That's my hope.
And she got that big figure sprinting in her debut in 92. We saw the stretch runner for 2-turn race. I thought that was a remarkable effort second time out. I know she was the favorite, but she was just hung out 4 wide every step. She gave everyone else ground, and she was going away at the end. So there's talent here. I generally like turnbacks at 7 furlongs, and this filly has a ton of upside potential. 6-1 is the morning line. And again, as you mentioned, with the 2 Chad Browns, with Restless Rider, with Horologist, maybe she does get lost in the shuffle. It's New York Showcase Day at Belmont Park on Saturday. Marcus, you picked the Iroquois Stakes. We'll take a look at the field of fillies and mares going 6.5 furlongs in this one. This looks like a pretty wide open event. The number 7 Satisfy is your 3-1 morning line favorite. You're interested more in the 8 More Mischief, however. 10-1 on the morning line with Javier Castellano aboard.
Well, it's just the opposite of the Raven Run, isn't it, Dan, where you get Chad Brown with a named jockey at double-digit morning line odds. That's pretty rare. What caught my eye about this race, looking through it, was like you mentioned Satisfy. Okay, I mean, she's off forever, the better part of a year. She came back. She ran a flat 5th, at 3-2. Maybe she needed the race, but maybe she's just not the same horse. Whatever kept her out, she's 5. It's not like she's got all this flexibility and growth in her. And I just saw a bunch of horses like that in this race. I thought horses with some figures, some names, some speed, but none of whom really struck me as completely reliable. I also think that it looks like there could be a decent pace on. And this More Mischief horse, she's going to be off of it for sure. Now, last out at Saratoga, she won in the slop, but if you go back to her debut, she ran in the slop. She didn't do any running in that race. Maybe she just needed the race, but I just think that it suggests she's not some super mudlark who only needed a wet track to move up. To me, it looks like a horse. She cost a boatload of money, $350,000. She's into Mischief, as half the thoroughbred population seems to be these days. But I just think that she was slow to come around, and I really like the way that she's shaped up her last 2 starts. I think she could get the right trip. If you look at her work pattern, it looks like they've pointed her to this. We got an improving 3-year-old filly. There's this New York bred stakes. This horse costs a lot of money. Let's get her tip-top shape, as sharp as we can, and throw her into this big spot and see what she can do. And I think that, with another jump forward, which is what I'm projecting, and the right trip, she could score or at least get into the exact at a price.
I think you make some strong points. We saw her splashing home in the slop last time out. She's this big, strong filly, and maybe it's just taken a little bit of time for her to grow into that body. And as for the morning line favorite, Satisfy, I'm with you. I don't want to take a short price off kind of a subpar race where I don't think she has much of an edge over the field anyway. More Mischief might be going the right way. And again, 10-1 on the morning line, a very strong price. We'll complete this week's Weekend Game Plan segment down at Laurel. It's Laurel's day at the races, the Maryland Million Ladies Stakes. We'll throw up the field here. We've got a horse going for a three-peat, and that's the number 1, My Sister Sledge, 7-5 on the morning line. You like the stretch-out sprinter, number 5, Something Magical, but she's not merely a stretch-out sprinter. She's run well around 2 turns in the past. The question is, will she get the 9?
Yeah, that's a really good point. They had a bunch of rain there this week, and I know you handicapped that track, and sometimes, Dan, as you know, that turf course can get very front-end favoring, and I find that has been true after rain, especially. At this time of year, historically going back, I remember December's 10 years ago when I would just try to find whoever was going to make the lead in Laurel turf races a lot of days this time of year in the fall. Now, if you look, even just going back to last year, I think it was this horse, God, I can't remember who it was, My Vixen, number 3. In this very race, the Maryland Million Ladies, she's a 70-1 shot. She got to the front, and she missed by a neck. I just think that 9 furlongs is very conducive to a horse getting into a good, steady tempo on the lead. Love's Legend has done it, at 1 1/16. I think that I think she's faster than My Vixen. I think she's faster than all the other horses in the race, really. I'm sorry, Something Magical. And I think if she can get to the front, relax, switch off, set like a 49-second half-mile split, and if the course is playing like it might well be this Saturday, My Sister Sledge is fine. As you said, she's won twice in here. Ghoul's Night Out is in good form. I just don't fear those horses, especially under the right situation.
And this horse is coming into the race in good form. We'll go back to her most recent start sprinting. That is a really nice mare, Iroquois, a good turf sprinter who is able to get to the lead in this race, taking a little bit of a drop in class. And we see Something Magical really battle with her down the entire stretch. It was a really good effort for both mares, and it just seems like it's going to set Something Magical up for this race.
Well, that's kind of exactly how I looked at it. Surely I've had this race in mind with this horse while they were sprinting. She can obviously take a lot of racing. She barely raced at all in 2018, but she's been on a steady pattern all spring and summer and into the fall. I just feel like they're trying to build a foundation, keep her sharp. And I can't imagine that they don't want to try to get to the front with this horse. And we'll see what happens. I think she's going to be the right price to give it a look.
5-1 on the morning line. Wouldn't be surprised if she drifts slightly off that price. I think the folks are going to go nuts over My Sister Sledge as she goes for the three-peat in the Maryland Million Ladies Stakes. 3 value plays on Weekend Game Plan with Marcus Hersh. Best of luck on Saturday.